consejera, autoridades, amigos, para Amazon es un auténtico honor recibir el premio Aragón Empresa. En primer lugar, porque es uno de los premios más prestigiosos del panorama empresarial español. Lo hemos visto con la gente y las empresas que han sido honorados en el pasado con este premio. Por un lado, decenas de miles de clientes aragoneses han hecho de Amazon.es la tienda favorita para sus compras, muy especialmente aquellos que viven en poblaciones pequeñas y que no tienen un acceso fácil a determinados productos. Por otro lado, centenares de empresas aragonesas utilizan Amazon como su canal de ventas online. Estamos ayudando a muchas pymes de Aragón a crecer y a exportar. Y finalmente, porque en Aragón hemos encontrado siempre muy buen talento, colaboramos estrechamente con el Zaragoza Logistics Center para formar a los nuevos profesionales de la logística. Y de hecho hemos contratado a muchos de sus alumnos que hoy nos ayudan a innovar en este campo. Así pues, presidente, muchas gracias en nombre de todo el equipo de Amazon. Para nosotros este premio no solo es un reconocimiento a nuestro trabajo, sino también un homenaje a todos nuestros clientes. Durante mi presentación intentaré compartir con ustedes la visión de Amazon, le explicaré cómo nació esta compañía hace 20 años más o menos, y durante 20 años, fieles a una misma idea, situar al cliente en el centro de todas las decisiones que tomamos, hemos llegado donde somos hoy. Y hay mucho que recoger todavía, nos gusta decir, siempre es el primer día. Ya llevo en España un poco de tiempo y aunque mi español va mejorando día a día, me parecía un poco injusto someterles durante 20 minutos o 15 minutos, veremos, a mis errores gramaticales y mi acento un poco raro. Así que, si me lo permiten, voy a cambiar al inglés y que ponen sus auriculares, por favor. No. Well, Amazon is a global company now, but you have to project yourself back 20 years ago. Small garage, one of those early success stories from the net, where Jeff and Bezos, with 15 employees, started the first online bookseller. First page in '95. It's a little bit small, but when you have 1 million books at launch, what was missing was a search bar. You can imagine scrolling down through 200, 300,000 books to choose one. Didn't quite work, but it was the first launch. This is what it looks now on Amazon.es in 2011 when we launch. Since then, from a book seller, we became what we like to call the largest online store in the world and here in Spain. We have now websites in over 13 countries, and from those 13 countries, we export all over the world. Amazon today, it's 294 million customers, active customers in the world. Say over 2 million of vendors, so companies, PMS, large companies that work and sell through the platform, and a huge percentage of the sales, 34% plus, that are outside of our initial markets of the US, and over 100,000 millions of yearly sales, growing every quarter for the last 60 plus quarters, double digits. And touch wood, it will continue that way. Now, talking a little bit more about Amazon in Spain. Amazon in Spain is a fairly young company. We launched in 2010 buying a Spanish startup, BuyVip, and then shortly after we launched Amazon.es and launched our first fulfillment center in Spain and our corporate office close to Madrid in 2012. You have to look, when we launched, we had 6, 7 categories, so books, music, DVD, consumer electronics, about 2 million products. And if you looked at the fulfillment center, we had 40 people, and And I think about the same a little bit more in the corporate office. We quickly became the favorite website of Spaniards, and I'll explain a little bit the work and efforts and objectives we put in place to get there. If you look at today, just announced in our fulfillment center, we have 1,400 employees, and in our corporate center, we have about 340 employees. All of this in 4 years. More recently, we launched also food, and whilst we have a lot food that is non-perishable, whilst we have a lot to do in that segment, it's the new category. We now have 27 or 26 categories we keep on launching, so I lose track a little bit, and over 86 million products offered on the platform. So if you're a fan of top-selling books, you'll find them. If you're a fan of the history of Aragon, and there is a book that was published 20 years ago, you'll likely find it. And same for all the categories we're presenting. So what's the starting point of Amazon from the beginning and today, every day in Spain? We want to be the company that is most centered on the consumer, and that's how we drive innovation. We're not a bookseller, we're not a consumer electronics seller, we're not a cloud computing company. We're a company who's fanatically focused on consumers. And what we can do, we listen back and they tell us what they want, and then we work back from our consumers and innovate. That's when we talk about the consumer business, the basic ideas are very simple to us. We look at consumers and say, hey, tell me anywhere where a consumer would want to go somewhere, be it in a physical store, online store, and not find the product they're looking for. Tell me if they want to pay more rather than less, or they want to get it later rather than sooner. You know, unless you're a high luxury brand, which you're not, we're a mass retailer. Price, selection, availability are the three things our team work on a daily basis. And the power of the company is to translate that into, every step of what employees do, and also into key metrics that we keep on improving on a daily basis. And we work backward from this and innovate. So, for example, on pricing, the idea at Amazon over the 86 million products is not to do short-term campaign with low prices, but on every day, make sure we can do the lower price. Yet, we're not an NGO, we're a company. So the innovation here is how we can adapt our supply chain, all our process at scale, so we've got a lower cost base. A selection of more than 100 million products. I mentioned 86 million physical products. On top of it, we have 36 million digital products. So if you want to buy a digital book, digital music, you can find it, or apps for your telephone and tablets, you can find it on Amazon. So we launched in 2011 with what we call our DNA categories, meaning cultural products plus consumer electronics. We quickly added toys, watches, kitchen equipment, shoes. I'm not going to go over all of them. Equipment for cars, sports equipment, herramientas. I should put my glasses at some stage if I want to be able to read the small fonts. Then fashion, personal care, musical instruments, products for the garden, and more recently, a product for cleaning your house, or how do we call that? Cooking products, alimentation. 86 million today, and we've added over the last 4 years, so 20+ categories and 48,000 products every day. That means obviously some innovation on the technical side, because we only have 300+ employees. I was missing a few categories. Yeah, 86 million products from 78. That number keeps on growing on a daily basis. It's also a platform very open to other companies. When we first launched, so here I'm talking about what we call marketplace, It's when you look at a retailer and you say, 10 years ago, we started having the idea, why don't we open the platform to others, to competitors? When you first look at this, the basic idea is insane. Meaning, do you know many retailers that say, hey, within my walls, please come and compete? So that's what we do with Marketplace. So here it's some coffee machine and some local company, actually, from Spain, Me Price, comes, offers a better price, a better delivery than Amazon can through its own sourcing, and wins what we call the buy box. When you win the buy box on Amazon, you win all the consumer sales. You would ask, why would you do this? Again, in terms of initial economical value or P&L, it doesn't make sense. When you look with the eyes of the consumer, it makes total sense. Do I want to be beaten off my site by somebody else? Or do I want consumers to come to Amazon and be totally sure they'll find the best offer, whoever the seller is, and then with that information, you gain, how do you say, loyalty and trust from consumers. It also allows to expand selection dramatically. We've got a team of 330 people. That means probably about 50 buyers, yet we have 86 million products. You can see how if every product was added the traditional way manually, it just doesn't work. So here it's a company actually from ARAGÓN called Grupo Textil Cadena, San Carlos, which is, how do you say, subiendo su selección en la plataforma en a few very simple steps, and start selling not only in Spain, but actually they start selling all across Europe and very easily across all the websites that we have in the world. And what it means, especially now, hopefully we're getting out of it, but in the times of crisis, it has meant that a lot of PYMEs has been able, with no initial investment, to create their selection and export. And all the logistics, the customer service, can be done either by them or by Amazon as they choose. You can imagine if you want to sell this in Germany and you want to start, opening a store in Germany may be costly. Opening just a detail page, having the logistic, having the customer service done by Amazon is very simple. And we've seen that's a huge part of the success of the platform. Over 40% of the sales on Amazon globally are done actually by third parties. And it's growing drastically in Spain and across. It's clearly the case in Aragon, where the companies that are using the platform the PYMEs notably, that are to sell and export, have grown 25% in just 1 year. And we give here a couple of examples that you may know locally. So, there's been an inversion. San Carlos y Lamparicas, who sells actually loads of how do you call it, lighting to across Europe and globally through the platform. And we use technology to make it simple. Again, hopefully, a lot of you are consumers of Amazon. Hopefully, a lot of you emprendedores use the platform to access customers in Spain and elsewhere. And again, the whole idea is you won't hear me talk about code or processes too much, because the whole idea is to make it very simple, both for the consumer and for the users of the platform. And that's the third pillar. So to make it easy, we provide the logistic. To the consumer, we provide a high level of personalization. Again, as an online store, the store you access is not the same than your wife, your brother, or your siblings. It's a dedicated store which highly depends on your interests. When we first launched in Spain 4 years ago, if you ordered online, and online was still a fairly small segment, couple of percentage points in retail of the total commerce. If you had your product in about a week, that was about the norm, too lucky, let's put it this way. So again, we innovated in, how do you say, in terms of internal processes. You've seen some of the internal processes in the video in terms of how can you pick and pack very quickly the products, how can you work with third-party partners that logisticos partner, and we have a few in the room, to make sure the sortation and the picking and packing delivers the products very quickly. So we launched with 2-3 days. The industry followed. It drove a huge growth in the online industry. And more recently, a little bit earlier this year, we launched one-day delivery. We actually do same-day delivery for consumers who choose in Madrid, and we'll definitely continue to expand this. The same way we open the detail page. So we look at the technology and say, hey, we have an open detail page. We have sellers on the, offering their products on the detail page, but they don't provide the same level of a logistics service. So you would come to the platform 3-4 years ago, and if you bought from Amazon, you would have an offer. It gets to you in 2-3 days, or now in 1 day. And if you bought from a seller, it would say, get it in 2 weeks, and we can exactly tell you when. So similarly to opening the platform, we used that technology and opened it to sellers, meaning put your products in the fulfillment center. You create a number of herramientas, técnicas, software to make sure it goes flawlessly and it's scalable. And now you have a huge part, it's about 30-40% of the sales, and growing very quickly, that are not only marketplace, and a huge part of that are, how do you say, third-party sales on the Amazon logistic platform that you can get next day as a consumer, which is, again, for PMS, using this service, it's a huge growth vector. And as I said earlier, we had to increase our fulfillment center already 3-4 times. We just finished the fourth, how do you say, I'm getting confused between Spanish. Enlarging, let's call it that way, and now have 1,004 employees. This has covered. This is the store I would see, I guess, yesterday or a couple of days ago, if I log on to Amazon. You can see I've lived in Spain for a while, and I have some, how do you say, funky historical taste to try to come, how do you say, to catch up the time since I wasn't grown up here, and I do read quite a few books, but I do also quite a few historical videos and series, which are the DNA of our categories. That is not my store. This is the store of a colleague and friend that obviously is a fashion lover and will see a point of entry which is entirely different. Again, we're not constrained by space, and we can use business intelligence to help consumers navigate the 86 million products. Very different than the offline experience, where you enter a store, and then if you want to buy milk and if you want to buy bread, you'll need to go from one end of the store to the other end of the store in the hope that you will pick something along the way of a higher margin. Here, the customer centricity is get you into the store, hopefully straight from the recommendation, you have the product you were looking for, you're out of the store in a couple minutes, couple seconds, and you can go back to doing much more pleasurable things than shopping, at least for me. I'm not a huge shopper, surprisingly. And you can go to spending time with families, going to the movies, doing some sports, whatever at the end of the day you like to spend your time on. And, yeah. So a couple of, how do you say, interesting data points when we looked at what is so specific about Aragon. And we looked, for example, at Teruel, who bought, out of the 52 provinces in Spain, Teruel was the 5th province buying more products during Black Friday. And initially, we stepped back and looked, it's really counterintuitive. And then you look at the consumers, why? Well, here in Teruel, you're versus Zaragoza, you're far from a lot of the commercial large centers. Now, again, if you want to have choice, you want to have great prices, online offers, how do you say, an access to culture, an access to low prices that you may not have had easily before. So again, instead of picking up your car, driving 2.5-3 hours to Zaragoza, you can stay in Teruel, enjoy your life, use technology to read whatever books, consume whatever products you were thinking about. And also, Aragon overall, but especially the small pueblos, cities, are buying much more than the average, which again goes a little bit against the, the early adopter theory, which would be mostly 25 to 35 male urban shopping online. It's actually not true anymore. Online has become mainstream, and you will actually see much more small villages, people from older age using it as a tool, again, to get access to culture and products that would have otherwise been hard to access at a low price. Here it's something that Jeff and a few of the leadership teams drew. Initially, you can see it was on like a napkin, and which is the whole, again, simplicity of the Amazon model, which is how you transpose it into then technology and having everybody in the team very clear on what we're trying to achieve. So first, we concentrate on customer experience. And as I said, customer experience is selection, price, and convenience. If you have the traffic, so from customer experience, you get more and more consumers coming. We call this traffic, footfalls, if you imagine a mall. From having more footfalls, very similar than in a physical mall, you get more stores interested in joining you, right? If you have a mall somewhere in the middle of nowhere with no traffic, you don't attract the Zara, you don't attract all the top stores. You end up with supermarkets and nothing attached with plenty of empty stores. Very much the same on Amazon. Those stores add a lot of selection, which in turn improve customer experience. As you grow and you scale and you focus a lot on technology, that allows you to develop lower cost structure, which in turn allow you to offer lower price without becoming an NGO. This is actually, we should look at it, this is 2004, 2015, and it says Amazon leads e-commerce in Spain. I think if we, more interestingly, if we were to look at 3 years ago, you would see that line, the red line on top, would be at 0. Obviously, we hadn't launched. And you would see all the other lines actually growing, which is much more interesting, meaning in a sense that e-commerce is growing very fast in Spain. It's there to stay. We have our, our leading work to do in terms of making it easy for consumers, making sure that it works both ways in terms of delivery, and what we also focus on is what we call reverse logistics, which is another example of customer centricity. And what I mean by that is, we spend a lot of time getting the products to you consumers, but we also spend a lot of time making sure the returns are very easy. As if we were not customer-centric, we'd go and limit returns. How do you limit returns? Initially, you would put, high threshold. So you need to provide in the original packaging, you need to provide the serial number, you need to provide where you bought it, you need to provide, the receipt of when you bought it, and you need to go to a specific place. No. When you're customer-centric, you make returns super easy. Couple of clicks, you can return it, and then you data mine that data to see, okay, what are truly the true causes of return? Where my processes in logistics are failing and damaging the product? How can I improve? What are the products that are getting more returns than others? What are the deficiencies? I heard our colleague in General Motors mentioning end-on cords. So how do you stop the process? You actually accept stopping selling a product if it gets bad reviews and bad compliance. And you can imagine all the root cause. And as a result, you both improve your P&L, your bottom line, but you also you improve drastically the experience to consumers. Consumers don't return and contact customer service because they don't have anything else to do. They'd rather do something else. So reducing the root cause is, again, how we concentrate on satisfying our customers. In short, in 4 years, I said we added 40,000. It's accelerated a little bit. It's 48,000 products to the platform. We have employed in Spain over 1,700 people, and we've built and grew a logical center to 70,000 square meter, and we'll need to keep on growing. We've helped a number, miles of pymes españolas a crecer y a exportar. We've also, and it's something I'm very proud of, hired a team that is ready for the pace, the launches that we still have to do. As we like to say, it's still day one. It's 4 years. It's a lot of successes, but when you look at the potential of still improving the service to you and to all customers in Spain, there is still a lot of work to do, and it's what keeps our teams highly excited. And as I say, it's still day one. Muchísimas gracias por el gran honor. Y Aragón.